Think about the game last week. You spoke to us after the game about, kind of how it went for you in your evaluation with it. Just now having some time away from it, being able to review. What are some of your takeaways from Sunday's game?
Yeah, I think just from a whole offensive perspective, I think we moved it well. We just had some of those situational stuffs on the goal line. I think that stood true after watching it. Obviously the fumble early on with the kind of the miscommunication with the handoff with the fake play action, was tough, and just got to make sure we ensure that. And then, but overall, I thought it was some positives. I think some stuff I can learn from just from some eye discipline on some certain routes. But I think stuff to build off of. But at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough. We didn't score any touchdowns when we had those opportunities. So it was tough looking back at it because we had those chances.
Can you break down that eye discipline aspect? Like, what are you talking about?
Just a couple ones as far as some of the play actions. I think there was some really good where maybe they're sinking out and you can check it down. There's a couple ones where on a third down, the one to Olave, he kind of broke up where the safety started down low. As I'm stepping up, he went back late and then just making sure I'm keying him so I can dump it off to Juwan. Just like, we had the play a week prior and just kind of go through that rep the same. So it was a good play. And but yeah, stuff like that to where, third downs, those can be crucial. So but I think a lot of good stuff. And then I think the thing that just stood out the most was when we have those chances in the red zone, you have to be able to capitalize on it. Otherwise, you're not going to win. So that's kind of what it just came down to.
With some of the RPO stuff with the red zone, how do you feel like your decision making was there after you went back and watched it?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Obviously would like to score maybe on that one cut. Was like I said, I think I was trying to throw it, anticipating that a little bit more, and then just cutting it up and getting in there. And but yeah, it was from that aspect. I think we can kind of continue to build off of it and go from there.
In the event that Alvin can't play this week, how confident are you in Devin Neal? How have you seen his game grow recently the past couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, would love to have Alvin just because of who he is, but I've been really proud of Devin just because of all the work that he's kind of put into this point, and we've kind of had a similar trajectory, just kind of being on scout team together. We have a really good relationship, and just what he does from a mental standpoint, preparation wise, super smart, protection. He was running the ball really, really well, and just catching passes. That's kind of his strength is being able to do it all. So really excited for him, and obviously he's fully capable of everything we're asking him to do, and he's going to continue to keep getting it.
With respect to the context of getting opportunities because of injury for some of the guys over on the offense, with respect to that, is there still a sense of pride amongst all of you kind of young players getting the opportunities to go out there and kind of lead the team?
I don't know if sense of pride is the right phrase, but I think there is a sense of urgency, and there's a sense of, we want to do everything that we can, and we want to represent our class. We want to do everything we can to win. And I think that's the same mindset with all the guys, and we want to contribute. And I think that's, why we were drafted here, is to kind of to contribute and do everything that we can that way from an energy standpoint, just from a playmaking standpoint, all that stuff. So I think, that's shown thus far, but we have to keep going. There's a lot of ball left, and we got to kind of have to keep growing that way. So, but the good thing is, I think we're all really, really close, and we all have that great communication. So the message has been the same.
How is Devin's running style kind of different than even Kendra? Does he add something kind of unique or different?
Yeah, I mean, each one of those guys is unique, and I think they have really unique skill sets. And Alvin, obviously, he's got that extreme one-cut burst. He can create any big play out of a really tough scenario and kind of extend those plays. Devin's, I think he's really savvy. He's got some finesse, but he can also lay the boom, like as he showed in that last game, and he's really smart. So I think he's kind of an all-down back. He can kind of do everything that he's asked of him. So I'm excited to kind of see what more he can do, because I think he has all of those skill sets in him.
It seems like you do a good job throwing the ball early. These guys are just coming out of their breaks. What are the keys to being good at throwing with anticipation?
Just trust in just reps. I think as the reps continue to build, especially with some of the guys, I think it's just going to continue to hopefully get better. And like I said, whenever you can, time your eyes with your feet and be dialed there, good things happen. Whenever maybe you get a little bit off of it, and obviously it's human nature as the game goes on, you want to still be firm. And that was kind of the stuff that I continue to learn from. Whenever there's maybe a errant throw, I think Juwan had a diving catch on that one, and maybe if I would have maybe stayed in there a little longer or had a little bit better footwork putting it on him, he might dive for the first down. Little things like that where you can kind of shore up and but yeah, just trust and anticipation, and got to continue to do it.
Are you kind of like reading them? Like, is there going into like their body language? Like, I guess is out there like the chemistry and playing?
100%. Yeah, each guy has unique body language whenever they're making their cut or whenever we're running this route. So you're anticipating that, but also a lot of the times it's just trusting what the defense is showing you and basing off of that window or based off of that read. And sometimes you can't even really see them. So it's just that chemistry that you kind of have to build and continue to grow.
When you're preparing for the seam to delay, there was a couple of those last week. Is that an example of that? Like, kind of just trust him to be in the right spot, because it's obviously a quick hitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a combination of what you're seeing, and then also just trusting him that he's going to be there. So that's the fun part about it. And obviously you got to continue to be aggressive, and then when it's not there, know where to go with it.
When you're going against a defense like Miami's, it was a lot of the messy picture, post-snap rotation, change stuff. Like, what are you looking for to kind of help you be able to navigate all of that?
All sorts of things. I think anytime you can get keys in from the front, the personnel groupings, what the safeties are doing. Obviously, their nickel's really, really good, Minka Fitzpatrick, and I think he's a really veteran player. So there's all sorts of clues that we're trying to pick up off of, but that's also what they're really good at. So you kind of have to, some elements of just trust what you see, and find your completions, take your shots, get the run game going. So it's a kind of an all unified effort from that standpoint. So they do a really good job of that, and they've been playing really well on defense. So we have to be up for the challenge and go out there and attack.
You guys have only scored 20 points, more than 20 points twice this season. Has it taken you by surprise at kind of how hard it is to score in the NFL?
Yeah. I think in a roundabout way of putting it, I think it just shows how important those opportunities are and those chances are. Obviously, to score, is so difficult, and I think whenever you have those opportunities, it makes it that much more important. So, I think we have that ability. So I wouldn't say it's more difficult or more easy, but you just have to put a premium on being focused in those situations and doing everything that we can. But even sometimes that means saving a field goal and flipping the field just because that can give you an advantage on the next drive.
There's a good chance that you play this game without three of your offensive captains. I mean, we know Brandon and Eric aren't going to play, maybe even AK. Like, who fills in that void on that side of the ball? Like, who are the future leaders you think on offense?
Well, I'm hoping to do everything I can to kind of voice all those things, and then also I think just like we talked about before, a lot of the young guys and Olave being one of those guys as well. So I think it's kind of been a really great group effort. Juwan being another guy as well that's kind of stepped up, and but I've been really proud of how we've kind of battled and communicated the whole time, even though there's been some adversity and there's been some guys, leaving. And obviously we feel those losses for sure with Eric and Cooks. And so it's tough. But for me, I've just been trying to take advantage of every opportunity and communicate the best I can.
Kellen talked about how it doesn't necessarily have to be vocal rah-rah type of leadership. It can be different ways. I mean, you think guys like Laga, Banks, can you step into those kind of roles, captain type roles?
100%. I think, obviously they're younger guys, and but I think with what they put on tape and what they're kind of continuing to do, and what I have to continue to do is just, obviously open that door. And I think they already have shown it from just who they are, a playmaking standpoint. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see how, they continue to progress, just because they've, those guys are definitely here for the future.
As a quarterback, what advantages do you think there are from playing under center, and what advantages are there from shotgun? What do you like about each one?
I feel like I'm really comfortable with both, and I think there's just whatever you're trying to show to the defense. Certain tendencies, certain run game advantages, certain vantage points. Obviously, if there's certain pressure looks, sometimes it's easier being in gun because you can see it and they're not as close to you. But if you're trying to, there's the old adage: if you're trying to run the ball or you're trying to get play actions, then the under center element is obviously a little bit more advantageous. But I think we can continue to do a good job of mixing it up. And but yeah, I think you guys know just as well as anybody. There's pros and cons of both, and I think whenever you can be balanced that way, that's what we want to live in.
Is the eye discipline piece of the game that you were talking about earlier, does that factor into under center or shotgun play at all? Is one more challenging than the other?
No, I think it's just unique to that specific play. Whether you're reading a flat defender or you're reading a certain key, or if you're just reading one of your guys and you're trying to feel his body language out. So it depends on the play. So no, it's obviously different, but I don't think it's harder or easier one way.
Are you comfortable turning your back to the defense with the play action?
Yeah, I feel comfortable with everything, just from play action standpoint, run game wise, drop back. I think that's kind of what I had to do whenever I was at Louisville, and I had kind of some of that comfortability and built up over time, and obviously the reps that we put in now.
I think that's kind of the 215 play drives, only 3 points, but like the ball control element, like, is there a lot you look at as you want to, like, that's how you want to play?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the red zone, you kind of separate it. Like, how do you view that as you just kind of wait for it?
Yeah, exactly what you said. I think you want to be able to sustain drives and control the ball. I think all those things were really good, but you just kind of leave with a sour taste in your mouth when you can't finish it. So it's part of it, but at the end of the day, we're not satisfied with it. So you have to be able to do that, and I think you just look at those specific plays because you don't know. That's kind of what I've been trying to preach to the guys, is just you don't know what play is going to be the difference maker in the game. So trying to be dialed even when we're doing walkthroughs every single rep. So you may only get one rep, or you may haven't had a rep of it in weeks. And there were some plays that we hadn't repped in a while, and they were great for us. And so you have to, we all have to continue to be dialed there because we want to get in the box.
How did you feel like you dealt with Atlanta's pass rush? Just some obvious passing downs where they're gonna come back and get after you. Just how do you feel like you handled all that?
Mm-hmm.
The sack, not completely with the sack, but like, did any of them bother you in particular or anything like that?
What do you mean bother me?
Oh, like in terms of like, I shouldn't have taken that one there. I could have gotten the ball out of it.
No, I think in those situations, whenever you're down, you're throwing it. They obviously have an advantage from that standpoint. You're not selling play action, and they're not. They know what you're doing, and we got to have those completions. And sometimes, I've said it before, taking a sack is better than turning it over. And but yeah, they're really good. Their pass rush is really good. So that was a situation we didn't want to be in. I think I said that prior to the game, and they did a good job in some of those scenarios. And I think there were some plays where I did a good job stepping up and evading, and they also, I think our O-line did a good job in some of those scenarios. And then other times, obviously when you're down, they're going to, like I said, have that advantage. So we just got to be better on first down. That was kind of the key to the game. Be better on first down so, we're not in those drop back scenarios a bunch, and we're not, losing in the red zone.
In those frustrating moments, like the issues in the red zone, in the aftermath of that, how would you describe how Kellen deals with that? You've obviously had a lot of different coaches in the last few years. How would you describe Kellen in the frustrating moments? How does he deal with that?
He's frustrated. I think obviously anybody would be frustrated. I don't think I think he communicates really, really well. I think that's kind of the one thing I love about him, is he's the same dude every day. I think he conveys the message to us that, it's all analytical. There's nothing, more that needs to be said. That's my job is on the sideline as a quarterback to communicate to everybody, to light a fire, or just, hey, calm everybody down. Like, hey, we're still in this game because we were. So he's obviously frustrated, and but he has to go right back to being neutral, and that's calling the game, being dialed for the defense, being dialed for all of us. So I think he does a good job with that. So it sucks because you don't want to be in those scenarios.
When he's in the headset, when he's talking to you, is it largely neutral, or is he I mean, look, when he's here, there's so much positivity to his personality. Is he giving you positivity, or is he giving you sort of analytic neutral?
Very neutral, very neutral. I think even after the early fumble, it was like, man, he was like on the sidelines, like, yeah, you know, it sucks, but like, we'll get right back to it. Just keep playing your game. I think that he does a really good job of that. I mean, he played the position. There's nothing to. It's either neutral or positive. I think with him, he understands that from the quarterback perspective. It's like, you know, I can't physically block, you know, a 300-pounder. I don't have to gear up mentally or physically for that. You just kind of have to go back to boom, 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 boom. You know, how can I motivate the guys that way? And I think he has that same mindset. So I obviously, you know, who we are in media is not exactly who we are, you know, on the sideline or in real life, you know, call it what it is. But he does a really good job of being neutral and still being positive to the guys, because you have to be that way.
Go to Thanksgiving day?
I grew up in the traditional white family with the stale turkey, so I don't want to say that. You know, I remember having some Thanksgiving with some of my teammates, and I went back home one time. I was like, man, this is really tough. Like, why do I? Yeah. But it's like I ate this, you know, and I would probably have to say sweet potato pie or mac and cheese is probably like my favorite sides. And I mean, I like turkey, ham, stuffing, all that stuff. So I'm a big Costco pumpkin pie guy, we'll say. Yeah.
And you go stuffing, not dressing.
I do it all. I'll do both stuffing, and then I'll do the gravy. Or are you saying, is that like the
People argue about the.
Oh, the terminology?
What they call it.
I got stuffing. People call it dressing here?
Yeah.
Okay. Praline, praline type of a deal?
Well,
Yeah.
one of those as well.
Yeah, that's right. Praline, yeah. Yeah, I'll start calling it dressing then. Appreciate it.